What's the most subtle way someone tried to ruin your life? My sister-in-law, a therapist, offered us free marriage counseling. A year later, my wife was packing a bag, convinced I was a clinical narcissist. Sarah always had this serene, knowing smile. When she made the offer, it felt like an act of profound generosity. Just some preventative maintenance, she'd said. Keep the connection strong. My wife, Chloe, thought it was a wonderful idea. I was hesitant, but how do you say no to that? The first few sessions were fine. We talked about communication, shared goals, but then things started to shift. Sarah would listen to me describe a minor disagreement we had and then reframe it with clinical language. If I said, I was frustrated because I had a long day at work, Sarah would turn to Chloe and say, so what I'm hearing is that he uses external stress to justify his emotional outbursts. Does that feel familiar to you? She was planting seeds. I started to notice my words being twisted. A story about my childhood became evidence of an avoidant attachment style. My desire for a quiet night was reframed as withdrawing and stonewalling. Chloe, who trusted her sister implicitly, started to see me through this new, distorted lens. Our arguments got worse, and Chloe would use Sarah's jargon. You're gaslighting me, she'd accuse when I told her I didn't remember leaving a cabinet open. I felt like I was going crazy. I knew I had to do something, but I had no proof. It was my word against a licensed therapist, so I started journaling. After every session, I'd write down exactly what was said, word for word. A pattern emerged. My statements were consistently being warped into symptoms of a personality disorder. I decided to set a trap. In our next session, I brought up a hypothetical. I've been thinking about getting a motorcycle, I said. I haven't told Chloe yet. I wanted to get my finances in order first to show her I'm serious. I made it sound responsible. Sarah nodded, her eyes glinting. The next night, Chloe confronted me. Her eyes were red from crying. Sarah called me, she said. She's worried you're planning to make a reckless, impulsive purchase. She said it's a classic narcissistic move, a way to exert financial control and ignore my feelings. The phrase, exert financial control, was the smoking gun. It was Sarah's clinical voice, not Chloe's. That was her mistake. She wasn't just interpreting events, she was scripting them. I took a deep breath and showed Chloe my journal. I showed her the entry from the day before where I'd written down my exact words about the motorcycle. Then I showed her the pattern week after week of my words being twisted. She read it, her face going from angry to confused, then to horrified. She picked up her phone, called Sarah, and put her on speaker. Sarah, Chloe said, her voice shaking, I'm a little confused about what Mark said last week about his parents. Can you remind me? I held my breath. Sarah launched into a confident, clinical summary about my deep-seated resentment and unresolved childhood trauma, a version of my story that was a complete fabrication. Chloe hung up without saying a word. My wife's official complaint to the state licensing board got her sister's license suspended for unethical dual relationships. Now, the only therapy she's qualified to give is to herself.